Hey, good morning, everybody. Let's greet each other properly. This is Mr. Aynesworth, and I'm going to be helping you out here in Chapter 2, Section 1 in Financial Algebra. We're going to be talking about checking accounts and the basic things about checking accounts here. So let's get organized here first. Let's go into, get your workbook out, obviously, and let's go into Desmos here. We're going to use this online calculator here to do all the functions or to do all the arithmetic here, even though it's extremely basic, only adding and subtracting. In checking accounts here, we're going to record all our work. So first thing we do is we're going to go into get a new blank graph right here. In this, the Desmos graphing calculator here, it allows you to save your work. So hit the save button and put your title in. Okay, 2-1, checking accounts. We're not going to be using the graphing feature, but we can save our work in this. Okay, and it does display our results as we develop them. So it's a really good calculator to use. So have that off to the side. Okay. And our workbook here, we're going to be needing our spiral. So as I said up here in the upper right hand corner up here, we're going to do all our work in our spiral. We're going to scan and submit our work into Canvas, and we're also going to save our work in Desmos and print it to a PDF like we normally do and submit everything in Canvas to verify that you guys are actually doing the work and doing it correctly. Okay. And we're going to be using Desmos throughout the year in this class just because it is free to everyone, accessible to everyone. You can download it on your phone, your iPad, and also any laptop. Okay, I'm going to be using the online version, obviously, because I'm trying to reach everybody remotely here, so I'm going to be using that. So let's get started. Here we go. Number one, Mitchell has a balance of $1,200 in his First State Bank. Okay, and in his checking account, he deposits $387.89, and that is a paycheck. He deposits a dividend check, a personal check into his account. He also wants to receive $400 in cash. The question is how much will he have in his account after the transaction? So even this stuff is extremely simple. You have to get used to the different terminology here and how to calculate this manually. Even though we live in an online era and we use debit cards and we do most of our banking online, you have to be able to keep track of your money. One of the things that people do not do because of everything's online is keep track of their finances. You know, how much do they have in the account? So in this lesson here, we kind of go over the basics here. So let's set up two columns in our spiral here. We're going to do all our work off to the side for number one. Okay, I'm going to work a few with you here. Not all of them, but a few of them with you here. And again, set up a two-column table here where we're going to put on the left transactions. And then we're going to keep track of the balance and how it goes up and down on the right. Okay, so this would be our balance over time as the transactions occur, whether it's a deposit or a paycheck or a debit. Okay, so here we go. Let's reread the problem again and see what's going on. So it says he has a balance of $1,200. So this is the first thing we know. We start off with a balance of $1,200. This is the starting balance. Okay, and he has $1,200 into the account. All right, so what happens? He deposits $387.89 because he receives a paycheck. Doesn't matter whether it's a weekly paycheck or a bi-weekly paycheck or even a monthly paycheck, like I get paid monthly. But we do know that he gets paid $387.89. So let's put this in. All right, so it's a paycheck. This is the first thing we know. This is the first transaction that we have. So it's a paycheck. $387.89. Now it's a deposit, so I'm going to put a plus sign here. So let's go to Desmos here and let's keep track of our balance. So simply enter 1,200 in, all right, and add 387, all right, and 89 cents. And notice that Desmos automatically gives you the current balance. Now we're up to $1,587.89. So $1,587.89. No big deal there. All right, let's go back to the problem here. And let's see what happens. He also deposits. Okay, this is depositing now. That means you put into the bank. Okay, put into the bank. Anytime you deposit anything, you put it into the bank. You're not taking out. You're putting into the bank, and so that's a good thing. Right? You would have more deposits than debits. Okay, for sure. So he puts in a $437.12 dividend check. Now the dividend check, what that is, typically you get dividends from some type of investment. So if you, let's say, invest into a company called Apple or Microsoft or any publicly traded company, you get dividends checks quarterly typically. As the company does well, as they profit over the year, as they do well, they actually pay you dividends if you own stock in the company, and that is called a dividend check, and that's a good thing. Okay, so that's why people invest. So your dividend check here, DC, is $437.12. We're going to put a plus sign just indicating that we're adding here, so our balance is going to grow. All right, and so let's see what we have. And so we don't go to the next line in Desmos. Just simply type in plus 437 and 12 cents, okay? And it gives you a current balance of $2,025.01. Okay, so we have $2,025.01. These are in dollars. All right, so what's cool about this Desmos here is you can see the numbers as you enter them, and it gives you a running total, okay, which is called the current balance at this point. Hit save button, save your work, as you develop it. Okay, so let's go back to the problem here. What happens? He also deposits a personal check, okay? This is the third thing that happens. So he deposits a personal check of $250, and then your balance keeps on, or his balance keeps on growing. Okay, so let's go to Desmos here and let's add in 250. All right, no problem there. So plus 250. All right, and now we're at $2,275.01. So $22.75, and again, keep track of your pennies. All right, now what happens? Let's go back to the problem. He wants to receive $400 in cash. Now this right here is called a withdrawal. Okay, it's called a withdrawal. So if you go to, let's say, an ATM or go into the bank itself and you get cash out of your account, that's actually a debit. So with your withdrawal here, I'm going to write down minus 400 here, because when you take money out of the bank or withdraw it from the bank, your balance decreases, it goes down. So type in minus 400 right down, and now you're at $1,875 or $1,875.01. All right, so that right there is what's called the ending balance. Okay, so the ending balance right here. So let's just record that into our spiral. It says how much will he have in his account after all these transactions. Okay, this part right here is $1,875, all right, and 1 penny. And there it is. That's how you keep track of things over time. You're either adding or subtracting depending on whether you're putting money into the bank or taking money out of the bank. So you just have to know the basic terminology. That's all you do. All right. So we're going to tackle a few of the problems here just to get you started here. And again, I'm doing this because a lot of people are at home, okay, due to some kind of illness. Whether it's related to the pandemic or not, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to help people out at home. So let's do another problem here. Let's go down to number 6 and work that out. Okay, same thing. We're going to do it off to the side and we're going to record our work as we go. So let's set up a table. Just 2 columns is sufficient. All right. So we're going to put all the transactions, what happens on the left-hand side, and then we're going to put our current balance on the right-hand side. All right, so what happens? What's going on in number 6? Okay, so Numeric Bank here charges a $21 per check overdraft protection fee. So we need to talk about that. This is a key thing. This is involved in a lot of banks nowadays. So instead of a transaction, a check or something like that bouncing or not being paid, what they do is they allow you to go negative. All right, but there's a fee attached. It's called an overdraft fee of $21. Okay, and because going negative means that you're actually borrowing money from the bank, and borrowing money from the bank is never free. Okay, they always charge you either interest or a fee associated with it. All right, because you're borrowing their money when you're going negative. You're not using yours, you're borrowing theirs. And so there's always a fee attached. So let's record what happens over time here, and let's see how these fees are assessed, okay, or how you're assessed here when something like this happens when you go negative in your account. So on June 5th, Lewis had $989 in his account. That's your starting balance. So let's start with that. Okay, so the starting balance is that he has $989 into his account. All right, over the next few days, the following checks were submitted for payment at his bank. That means they've cleared. Okay, so we have 3 things going on, or a couple things going on. We have something happen on June 6th, and there's something happening on June 7th and June 8th. So on June 6th, there are 3 checks that are going to be cleared, all right, which means they're going to be debited from your bank. And remember, anytime you go negative here, you get assessed a $21 fee. every single time you go negative, okay? Because once again, you are borrowing money from the bank. All right, so on June 6th there, okay, the following things happen. So you get, first there's 3 checks. 1, 2, 3 checks here. So the first check that's going to be coming through the bank and it's going to be debited is $875.15. Okay, so we got to subtract that from the first for the balance. So let's go to Desmos here and let's start a new line here. Go down here. And we're starting off with $989. Okay, and we're going to subtract that check that came in, which is $875.15. Okay, so now the balance is now only $113.85. So $113.85. Okay. Now, that's not all that happens on June 6th. Okay, 3 checks come in and they clear the bank, which means they get debited from your account. The next check is $340.50. Okay, so comes in here, $340 and 50 cents. Boom. Okay, so this is what happens on June 6th. Now, let's see what happens. Now, we only have $113 in the bank and 85 cents, and now a check comes in and we need to pay $340.50. What's going to happen is we're going to go negative, and we're going to be assessed what's called an overdraft fee, all right? Because again, we're borrowing money from the bank. Okay, so, oops, all right. You got to push the right buttons here. You got to subtract here. So type in minus, all right, 340.50. There we go. And now we're at negative 226.65. All right, so negative now it says 226.65. Now right there, we have a situation here. So when this happens to you, whether you use a check or a debit card, it doesn't really matter. You're borrowing money from the bank. Now we owe the bank $226.65. And every time we go negative here, they're going to assess us a fee. It's called an overdraft fee. So I'm going to put this in red because this is a bad thing, all right? OD stands for overdraft fee. Okay, overdraft, OD. So, and then it's called an overdraft fee. Not good, so minus $21. So what happens? Well, let's see here. Let's figure it out. Let's subtract $21. All right, so type in minus 21. Boom. All right, now we're at negative 247. All right, 65. So negative 247.65. And now we're not done yet. On June 6th here, 3 checks clear the bank. All right, the first one was $875.15. The second one was $340.50. Third one here is $450.63. So $450. Just read the problem right there, and 63 cents. Now we're going to go negative again. We're going to get this situation just gets worse and worse, right? As I said, every time you go negative in your account, you get assessed. So whether you use a debit card or your physical check, it doesn't really matter. You're going to get assessed. So let me see. We got to subtract. Subtract 450, 63 cents. Okay, boom. So now we're negative 698.28. So negative 698.28. And again, this is check number 3 now. So let me see. This was check number 1. The first one was check number 1. The second one was check number 2, was $340.50. This is check number 3. Right here at negative 450.63. And because of this, when check number 3 comes in and clears the bank, you get assessed another fee of $21. So every single time that happens, okay, when a debit comes in, whether it's a check or an ATM debit, it really doesn't matter. You're going to get assessed another $21 fee. So subtract $21 more, and now we're at negative 719.28. So, this is getting terrible. 719.28. All right, let's go back to the problem. Let's see what happens. That's all on June 6th. So now, June 7th comes in. We only have 1 check. So on June 7th, right here, a check of $330 comes in. So this is check number 4, CK number 4. I'm just abbreviating here. So the 4th check comes in on June 7th, and it's $330. Okay, the bank's going to pay it, but you're going to be assessed another fee. So let's go ahead and type this in. All right, so minus, okay, 330. And notice that we're negative 1,049.28 now. Oof. So negative 1,049.28. All right, and right there, the bank's not going to allow you to do that. All right, you're actually borrowing their money. You just borrowed another $330. So what they're going to do is they're going to assess you another overdraft fee of $21. Okay, so how much do you really owe the bank now? Because we're really in the hole. Okay, so let's figure this out. So let's subtract another $21 here. All right, now we're at negative $1,070.28. Not a good situation to be in. All right, but that's the situation you're in. So here we go. So negative $1,070.28. All right, let's go back to the problem. Let's read on. That's what happened on June 7th. Now, what happened on June 8th? Okay, June 8th, a check came in. All right, and so it's the, let me see, this is the fourth check and this is the fifth check. So check number 5 comes in on June 8th. So June 8th, check number 5 comes in, and it's $560. So the bank's going to pay it, but you're going to be assessed another fee. So let's subtract 560. Okay, so minus 560. Boom. So this is why I like Desmos here. You see the transactions occur over time. It's easy to check your work. If you input something wrong and you're not getting the right answers, it's easy to check your work, and it gives you the running balance as you go. All right, so now we're at negative $1,630.28. All right, but we're not done here because the bank's going to assess you an overdraft fee again. Why? Because you're going negative every single time, and they're going to charge you $21 every single time you do that, because borrowing money from the bank is not free, as I keep on saying. So now you're at negative $1,651.28. All right. So that's the what's called the ending balance of this situation, because no more checks are coming in at this point. So this right here is where we are in this situation. So we'll call this the ending balance in this situation. Save your work in Desmos as you go, by the way. Okay, so let's go back to the problem here. So after June 8th, the fifth and final check comes in. You owe the bank $1,651.28 at that time. So question part A says, how much will he pay in overdraft fees? Well, let me see. We have 4 overdraft fees of $21. And so 4 times 21, well, that's $84. So there's $84 in overdraft fees. Overdraft fees. That's a lot of money. Now, it may not seem like a lot, $84, but I tell you what, if you keep on doing that every month, let's say 12 months in a row, you're going to be paying a lot of money over time, and it's like wasting money. So you got to keep track of your finances, know how much is in your account. So you got to be careful with that debit card and not spend too much, because every time you do, you're going to go negative and be assessed a fee. All right, so how much will you owe the bank after June 8th? Well, it's right here, $1,651. So $1,600, all right, $51.28. That's what he owes. Wow, okay. So number 6 was a key problem here because it dealt with a very important concept in checking accounts that you guys need to be aware of, and it's what's called an overdraft fees. Okay, so this is a key problem here. I'm going to label it test question here, because this right here is something that every young adult needs to know. You need to know how to calculate and keep track of your finances so this doesn't happen to you. Because basically, this person, if this was you, you just wasted $84 in 1 month. You know, and we don't have money to waste. At least I don't. Okay, let's do one more problem here together, and let's work on problem number 10. Okay, or excuse me, number 9. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the register here, and you know what? Give me a second here. I'm just going to put it off to the side just to make it easier to view for you guys. There we go. Okay, so let's work on this one here together, and just give you a little bit more experience on checking accounts, and then you can try number 10 and the rest on your own. Okay, so I think you guys can see that now. So create a check register. This is called a check register. All right, this is what we did back in the olden days before online banking here, guys. We kept track of our money by hand. Okay, we carried around a checkbook. And we actually recorded our transaction as we went, and we added, subtracted, and kept track of our balance, which is something very few people do nowadays because everything's online and you can just look up on your phone. However, it's still a good thing to do because, believe it or not, even though we're in the online era and we're using computers, sometimes mistakes are made, okay? And you got to keep track of your, make sure the bank's doing the right thing, because believe it or not, mistakes are made. So it says right here, your balance on 1/5, which is January 5th, is 822.67. So let's just start off with that. So 1/5, and this is the balance, starting balance. Oops, got to spell it correctly here. Starting balance. Okay, and that's $822.67. Okay, so this last and final column will be where we put our balances here. Okay, let's just go through the list here and we'll see how it goes. All right, write a check. Okay, every check number has, or every check has a check number, and that goes in your first column. So part B here, you write a check, okay, which is $1,076. It's on the 6th, so January 6th. All right, and you write it for to Excel Health Club. That's your description here. Excel Health Club. All right, and you write it for $600. And when you do that, when you write your checks, that is a debit or a payment. So debits or payments go in the first column. If you deposit it goes into this secondary column here. So we have two main columns. The debits or payments go in this column that I'm highlighting right here, and then right next to it, well, it's a deposit. So any deposits go into the second to the last column. All right, so here we go. So we pay this health club right here $600.00. This little column here associated with it is your cents. Okay, pennies that is. And if you don't have any pennies, some people just put a slash through it. The column that has a check mark right here is for reconciliation and everything. So we're not going to use that at this point. We'll get into more of that later. Okay. Now, when you write a check to the health club for $600, you got to subtract that from $822.67. So once again, I mean, you can do that first transaction in your head probably, but if you want to keep track of it on Desmos, go to the new line here and type in $822.67, and then subtract the 600, and obviously you're $600 less at $222.67. So $222.67. Why? Because we just wrote a check to the club, and when it clears the bank, it's going to be deducted, okay, or subtracted. Then it says you deposit a paycheck of $227.45 on 1/11. Okay, so deposits. So in this one here, on 1/11 right here, it's a paycheck. So you deposit the paycheck at $227, so $227.45. Okay, and that means that's a good thing. Okay, so we're going to add that, so our balance grows. All right, so here we go. So we're just going to add 227, so whoops, you got to type in plus sign, plus 227.45. All right, it gives you a new total now. All right, $450.12. So $450.12. Great. Okay, so let's move on. Next one. So we're done with these three here. Just cross them off as you go. Part D. Okay, you deposit a $50 rebate check on 1/15. All right. So on 1/15, you get a rebate check. Okay, of $50. Okay, cool. You deposit that. Okay, so that goes in this column here, $50. Okay, and now 450 plus 50 is obviously 500. All right, but let's keep track of that in Desmos here. Let's just add 50. So we're now at $500.12, as you can see. All right, and then what happens here? So, and then we're done with this one. On 1/16, you begin writing a donation check to the Clothes for Kids, but make an error and have to void the check. All right, the very next check for 100 is to this organization. Okay, so on 1/16, what's going to happen is you're going to write a check to Clothes for Kids. All right, but you make a mistake on it. You have to write a check in in pen, all right? But if you make a mistake, whether it's in the numerical part or the description part, you have to void it. Okay, so we're going to void this check, which means we're not going to use it, but we're going to keep track of it because in your checkbook here, you got to keep track of these things. All right. Let me see. So, and that check is the next check. Let me see. So after check number 1076, all right, the next check is 1077. Okay, so let's record this. So this check is 1077. Again, you just simply add one. They usually start in the thousands, and again, you don't. You just, when you receive your checks, you'll see that check number on there, and you just go one by one. So the check after 1076 is also 1077. You void that, keep track of it, but again, you have to write the very next check. It says write the very next check for $100 to this organization. So let's put that in. So we're at check number 1078. It's on the same day, closed for kids. $400, and now we go ahead and subtract that. So we're going to subtract $100. Now we're down to $412. Okay, why? Because we got to subtract $100. So back in the old days when we used to use checks all the time, sometimes you make a mistake writing it, but you got to keep track of it. Okay, so you know you didn't lose it or you didn't spend it. We just deleted it, basically. We call that voiding. So we just draw a line through the check, write down void, and use the very next one, which is obviously 1078. Okay, now what happens? Okay, so this one's done. Part F here. So on 120 right here, you withdraw $200 from the ATM in the mall. The company owning the ATM charges you $3.50, and your bank charges you $2.50 for the ATM transaction. Okay, so there's an ATM fee. So let me see, $3.50 and $2.50 is $6. So you're going to be assessed a $6 fee on top of your withdrawal of $200 at the mall. So there's a couple different ways you can do this or keep track of this. If you want to separate it, you've got this ATM withdrawal of $200, and then you have an ATM fee. I didn't mean to say ATW, ATM. You have the ATM fee of $6, or you could have just written this as one transaction here of $206. So it's totally up to you right there. If you want to keep track of what's going on, you can separate it or you can combine it. Okay. So right here we're at $200.12. Let's just go with the decimals just quickly here. So we're going to subtract 200. All right, and then we're at $200.12, and then of course you got to subtract the $6 fee, and now you're at $194.12. So $194.12. There we go. So we're rocking and rolling here. Okay. All right. So what else is going on? We're done with that one. So G, on 121, you make a debit card purchase at the Stacy's store. So at 121 or the 21st right here, a debit card purchase. So debit, your debit card purchase. It's a debit at, oh, well, we don't want to put that. Let's put Stacy's store. This goes to Stacy's. All right. And you spend, it looks like $134.87. So you got to subtract that. Oh, we're getting down to almost zero here. Okay, so it's not good. We're running out of money. All right. Ooh, if you ever do what I just did right there, just hit the back button. Okay, so you want to go to the end here. So let's subtract right here, $134.87. All right, and now we're down to $59 in our account roughly. So $59.25. We don't have a whole lot to spend. Okay, but let's see what's going on here. That's what happens on the 21st. Now, a friend gave you $1,300 he owed you, and you deposit on the 22nd. Well, that's kind of nice. So this is a deposit. So on the 22nd, a friend gave you some money here. All right, it's a deposit of, let me see, what did it say, $1,300. So let's put that in. That's nice. All right, so we're going to add $1,300. So plus $1,300. Now we're at $1,359. This is nice. So now we're back up again. which is nice. We have some money in the bank now. All right, and let's see what happens. So that happened on the 22nd. On the next one here, it says you write a check on the 23rd to iBiz. Okay. So on the 23rd, okay, you write a check to iBiz, whatever that is, for $744. Oh, it's a computer company. So for $744.24. So you're going to go back down. Okay, so let's subtract that amount. All right, so minus 744. You got to subtract the cost of the computer because that's going to be deducted from your account. And now you're down at 615. Okay, and a penny. All right, so we're done buying a computer. So now you deposit your paycheck for $227.45. Oh, this is good. So paycheck $227.45. This is nice. So this happens on the 23rd. Okay, so deposit. All right, paycheck. This is good, and this goes into the deposit column. Oh, you know what? This one should have been shifted over here. Sorry. Don't put it here in the debit. Put it in the into the deposit. Okay, the deposit column right here. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, so just switch that right there. And so this one right here, the $227.45, that should go here, and $227.45 goes into the deposit column because you're going to be adding that to the $615.01. Okay, so let's calculate that. So here we go. So let's add that in, the deposit that is. All right, so plus $227.45. Now we're back up to $842.46. Good, we're in a better position now. So $842.46. And then what happens? Okay, so on the 24th, you withdraw $50 from the ATM affiliated with your bank. There are no fees. Ooh, nice. If you go to ATMs that are affiliated with your bank, they don't charge you any fees. But if you go outside your affiliations and go to a new bank that's not associated with yours, they're usually going to charge you anywhere from a $2 fee, $3 fee, $2.50, something like that. It's never free. So this happens on the 24th. All right, you get there's an ATM withdrawal. WD stands for withdrawal, and it's $50. So you're gonna go down by $50. So let's subtract that in, or subtract that from the total. So minus $50. Now you're at $792. Sorry about that. And then record that. So we're at $792. $792.46. Okay, now let's see what's going on in the problem here. We just got a few more things to do. On the 24th, you write a check for $75 for ITEL Wireless. Okay, so on the 24th, you write a check to ITEL Wireless. That's in the description for $75. So let's subtract that from the total. All right, so minus 75. And again, now we're down at $717.46. We're almost done here. All right, and then what happens? Well, let me see. On the 25th, you write a check for $120 to Ticket King. All right, you're going to go to a concert. Okay, that happens on the 25th. So for $120. Okay, so this is your concert tickets, Concert King. You always write down who you're writing the check for, and it's for $120 right there. So let's subtract the 120. All right, and we should be at $597.46. So here's the ending balance, $597.46. Just refer to that. What have you ended with at the in any situation, whether it be at the end of the month or at the end of a series of transactions? That's called your ending balance. Okay, and my friends, that is number 9. Now, number 10 is similar to this, and so this should be enough for you guys to work number 10 out, okay? And again, the number 10, the registers on the back page, so keep this number 10 right here. So Your turn. Okay, you try number 10, and then we come back together here. We can discuss it. If you have any questions, we could talk about it. Again, this is all about checking accounts in section 2-1 here in financial algebra. Pretty basic stuff, but important stuff, because everybody has a checking account and a debit card associated with it, and usually also a savings account as well. And again, simple mathematics. However, you got to get used to the terminology and what deposit means, and what debits and transactions and withdrawals and what all that means. Okay, this is Mr. Aynesworth. Hopefully that helped you out, and I will see you in my next lesson. Bye bye.